Hi there, this is Depressing Draws and welcome back to this new series where I'm looking at fairly underground indie games. We're looking at very specifically grassroots efforts, I feel, from very small, if not, one-man teams, if not, one-man, two-man teams. We're looking at, the real undergrowth of the indie game scene, and today we are taking a look at Baby Blues. Yes, a game in which we play a literal child. This is a completely blind run, so here we go. We're going to select new game. Okay, so here we are, dumped straight into the game, and yes, we seem to have a nice grain filter for some reason. I don't know if this baby's eyesight is somewhat deteriorating in his young age. That seems to be rather unfortunate, but in the standard FPS controls, it seems that we can look around with a twizzling neck, which seems to be reminiscent of an owl's neck, the way that this baby seems to be able to twist its head around in a 360-degree motion, and looks like we can just examine our surroundings. Looks like we've crawled out of bed, and yes, we're seeing what we can interact with at this moment. Oh, and even I have a lean function as a child, so this child is obviously a keen fan of FPSs where yes, we can lean to the right and we can lean to the left, so this baby has obviously got tactical awareness on his mind, or his or her mind I should say. I can obviously interact with some items because the cursor is telling me that I am pressing the left mouse button, and the right mouse button not so much. But I tell you what, this child seems to be a little bit too young for a dartboard, I imagine, given that I do appear to be crawling on the floor. Oh, I got some sort of text flash up there. Is there something I can interact with here? No, okay, I seem to have missed it, but never mind. Let's just see if we can exit the door, and we get a bloody child's handprint to interact with it. I can't even begin to tell you why. But yes, we'll just have a wander into the hallway, into this nice suburban... Well, I say suburban, but who the hell has a water cooler in their house? Generally you would get a water from the tap or something, wouldn't you? But yes, we are in a dark, scary room, and I don't appear to be able to interact with the lights or anything, and just heard a door go there, so perhaps it is my literal parents in the room where I am wandering around in the darkness. Seems like an unfortunate thing for a child of my age to be doing, given that I'm sort of estimating a sort of 2 or 3 year old perhaps. But yes, I am in the bathroom, as we see, although it's more reminiscent of a prison shower, if I must say. I mean, not that I am any kind of great expert at interior design, but certainly I would have picked a slightly better motif than prison grey. But I just wonder... Oh, look, here's a key that we can perhaps interact with. Yes, do that. Can I... Yes, do that. Okay, so I apparently have to agree to take the key before I actually do it. Just a single click is not sufficient. Quite how a child of my age is going to operate a lock, I don't really know, but never mind. Unfortunately, I can sort of understand the way they were going with this camera motion, but there seems to be a certain amount of Dutch angles which keeps going on here. I feel like a standard sort of... rotationing of the pitch and the yaw of the camera would have been sufficient for the controls on here, but never mind. But we are getting on at a fair old lick, and oh look, there is the prerequisite scary mannequin there, but I don't feel too much fear in terms of mannequins and what have you, although it is impossibly dark, and we've got K, so okay, so I can interact with that. I honestly don't really know what's going on. We haven't had much in terms of story development and what have you, although I will admit that someone closed the door behind us there. Is rather unwelcoming, but never mind. I will admit that I haven't read any of the documentation, but to some extent you wonder, should this sort of thing stand or fall on how the gameplay is? And to be honest with you, the gameplay at the moment is consistent of me wandering around aimlessly, but never mind. Seems to be here's a bed, and yes, we can wander around, and really I don't really know what I'm trying to achieve at the moment. I'm just sort of wandering around this dark house aimlessly in the middle of the night, one would assume. Unfortunately the house does not have any windows at all, so it's this sort of fairly poor planning on someone's part, the architects I suppose. Oh look, the mannequin seems to be following us around for whatever reason, although why a mannequin would follow us about, I don't know, but I'm just going to pretty much ignore it, because what is there to fear from a mannequin? Apparently not, because I'll just squeeze roughly past it. And I imagine probably knowing the tropes of this, because it's obviously basing itself fairly heavily on the aesthetics of Silent Hill, the mannequin is probably going to start following us around the house. And it's almost nice to have a bit of a companion wandering around as we scurry around in the dark, much like a child might do. And we get some flashes of lightning. Quite how we see that in the game I don't know, because as we've mentioned before, there are no windows in this house. But here we are, helpfully wandering into the living room. And I'm fully expecting a few jump scares. Here we go. Yes, this stool is apparently possessed, tilting roughly on its side as it is, and terrified as we all are indeed. And I'm sure that this mannequin will probably do something scary if I go and have a look. Yes, there we go. It it sort of appeared not so much to fall, but to appear from one spot to the other immediately. So some pretty nice physics there, and this game did actually go through the trouble of installing some additional physics rendering devices before I was able to play it, so good on you for that one if you're gonna do that and not install it. And there appears to be something silhouetted in the background there, unfortunately, because the game is so dark and I don't necessarily have any particular way to change the brightness in it in game. It's difficult to make out actually what I'm trying to be doing, so what I'm going to do here is just pause for a minute as I actually literally turn up the brightness on my TV. Okay, so I've now turned up the brightness on my TV, and you, the viewer, won't see any appreciable difference. Oh, well, I might have to edit the video to reflect that, but at least I can almost begin to perceive what the hell is going on in this game. And yes, we seem to have some sort of step stool with some kind of exterior window, so thank God for that. I don't quite know what's supposed to be going out there, so let's just have a look outside and see what we can see, shall we? No, I need a key for this, apparently. That's apparently what K stands for. K stands for key, so now I've got to wander around the house some more looking for another key. I feel like if Mama's bedroom was one of the key, then there may be a key in there, but unfortunately the environment was so dark at the time I didn't manage to perceive any particular key there. Let's try this door here, see if that has got anything to do for us in the way of keys. And should the key be anywhere over the above of ankle level, we shall be rather frustrated, and no, we cannot use anything in there as well. So at the moment I've got to say it's not a particularly enjoyable experience. I can see the reasons why you would have this slow plodding rate in the game. We're a literal child in it, so there's that. But at the end of the day, I'm sort of wandering around without many, if any, interactable elements except for doors and keys at the moment from what I've seen, and it's honestly not really holding my attention too much. The jump scares are not what you'd call psychologically terrifying, and oh no, this hobby horse is roughly cycling through some random animations, and there seems to be a bloody handprint on it, and terrified that we are of children's bloody handprints. I know you as the audience member will be literally shitting your mind out of fear and take the teddy bear. Why have I got to press G to do this? 1 out of 9, and we get some peculiar noises. I just, to be honest with you, that at this moment I'm literally hoping that something comes along and kills me in this game, because my willingness to play it is ebbing ever lower by the second. I really try to be quite positive about these games when I try them, because I realise that they are sort of usually single person development teams, well, is that a contradiction in terms, I don't know, like, who are working on these, and it takes a lot of effort to put a game together, and graphically I'm going to say the graphic fidelity for an indie game is pretty good, but there's been some weird choices in this game, and it's I have to say, there's not really much in the way of gameplay here. I'm just wandering around a house really, and I can't see anything for a start, which is not particularly enjoyable. I as I've said, I've turned I've turned up the darkness settings, or the brightness settings on my TV practically all the way up, just in a vain effort to try and be able to see something of the environment. You spent all this time modelling the environment, developer man, whoever you are, and you're shrouding it in darkness and moving these mannequins around for no apparent reason. I just don't see the point. I think if I can't find another key in here, then we're going to call it end of an episode, I think, because honestly, what is the point wandering around in the dark here? I just don't have the patience for this sort of plodding gameplay, really. It's just not necessary. So yes, that's it. I've had enough. This game has completely failed to hold any kind of limited attention that I have, and admittedly it takes a little bit to interest me, but I don't know. Final thoughts? Not impressed. I honestly willing to give this game a go, but there's little to no gameplay to speak of. Even though it is free on the Desura series, on the Desura service, so go there if you want to check it out, and it's called Baby Blues, and it's free, so there's that in its favour. But honestly, I can't see any reason to play this. Sorry about that. So thanks for watching again, and we'll see you in the next game.